If it's okay, I will open the meeting up with a brief word of prayer. If we'll bow our heads together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the freedom and ability to come together here as a governing body. I ask your hand over our county and our nation as we continue to battle things that we've not seen before. Dear Lord, I don't know what your plan is for us or the nation, but I hope that your will be done, whatever it is, and everything that we do here is pleasing to you tonight. Ask for your hand over the meeting and for wisdom in everything that we do. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Ron, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to item number 3. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes from our public hearings and regular meeting? Our public hearing of July 28th, our regular meeting July 28th, and the special called meeting of August 11th. Are there any questions?
I got a correction.
Yes, sir.
There's a few typos. It's minor stuff. I don't think it's anything old. But I wanted to double check one in particular, page 20, the second paragraph. It says Vasita just approved 3 applications for C-Prop. I think that should be Cumberland Plateau.
That was from Mitzi's presentation.
Yeah, I think so. Because C-Prop comes out of Cumberland Plateau Planning District.
I think she might have meant seed grant.
What page is that,
Or
Ron?
it could be that.
I'm
or
pretty
if
sure
it's
that's
seed
what
grant.
my memory
What
is.
page is that, Ron?
Page 20.
I'm not.
Yeah, and it probably is what you said, because I don't know of 3
I
C-Prop
believe it's
applications.
VC to seed grant.
That's
Yeah,
what-
I think it is. I think it is.
I'm almost positive.
But I just knew it was.
That's
You're right.
correct.
VC seed, SEED grants.
So I don't know what she said. I just remember that's what she meant to, what
Pretty
she
sure
was
that's
talking
what it
about.
was, yep.
I don't.
That's
know
the
that-
only reason I said.
I know it was hard.
But I'm sure it's seed.
I don't think we need any.
It's seed
No, I
money.
don't.
It's seed
It's just a
capital.
typo.
They call it seed capital money.
Anything
what
else?
VC to call
Yeah,
On
I
the
got,
minutes?
I got a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Did, David, you get a chance to check with, said that where the, DSS went over $487,000?
Actually, we have not resolved any of that yet, no.
Or do you want to add? Well, if you want to add something to the agenda, I don't know what you.
Well, I do want to add, not only, it was both sides of their equation. I'm not saying there was anything wrong.
I know that, I just
don't
wondered.
believe there was anything wrong. The financial gap was the same as it usually is. I'm just saying that it's rare that side goes over, but both sides were over. Revenue side was also so, but we haven't had a chance to work through that yet. That probably won't get rectified till we go through the audit.
Okay. Another question I had, I don't know if we're gonna get an update on the broadband tonight or not.
Well, let's approve the
We're
minutes and then
approving the
we'll.
minutes right now.
and
Well,
then
that's in
we'll,
the last minutes, I just wondered.
Okay.
Oh.
On page 14, talking about the broadband.
I'll give you I'll give you
Okay.
the update as far as what I know when I do my report.
All good questions,
Yeah.
and we can add anything you want to the agenda or whatever you want, Ron.
Well, I would like an update on how that,
Well,
how
let's
many,
get to number 4. Let's do number 3, and then we'll get to number 4. And then we can-
Okay.
is
I'll
that
make
all
the
right?
motion, we approve the minutes.
I'll
Here.
second them.
All those in favor? Any other discussion?
The only thing is, I noticed in there, it noted that I had left the room and then I returned. I was just gonna let everybody know that I stepped out to the restroom before our actual meeting started at 6 o'clock, is where I went.
Yes, ma'am. So I have a motion and second. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll hear, all those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye also.
Aye.
So we see on item 4, approval of the agenda, there's several things that we need to add. Item 8A, 8B, 10A, 10B, 10C. Are there any questions or discussion on those additions? And is there any other additions that any member would like to see made? Rhonda, do you have anything else you'd want to?
I'm looking, I made some notes and.
David, probably item 5, you could
I-
probably,
Yeah, I don't mind, but in the future, if I'm gonna be quizzed, it'd be nice to have at least a little heads up. I can do broadband, I remember enough about some of it to be able to, but you'll get better information if we know a little ahead of time, if I need to give updates on specific things. But I can cover the broadband topic at item 5 after I do the financial report. I'll give you an update on our, application and where we are with that.
Okay,
So is there
I'm
anything
sorry, I don't aggravate you all too much over here. What I was also interested in, what the CARES, I guess that's something we can take up, the CARES Act, how that was going, and,
That's all, well, that's all still a huge process. And to be honest, CARES Act and this COVID plan are eating up all of our time, all of it.
well, do you have something you want to add to the agenda, or we'll hop to that to number 5?
no, I don't.
Okay.
I make a
What
motion that we
questions?
approve the agenda with the additions that we have already discussed.
I'll second it.
All those in favor of adopting the agenda with the suggested additions on the addendum of 8A, 8B, 10A, 10B, 10C, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Now, item number 5, the county administrator's report.
Okay, first I'll do the financial summary. The financial summary is actually part of your addendum. The sheet for it is part of your addendum package. Well, this will be the first month of our new fiscal year, so I'll just read these simultaneously. This is for your year-to-date financial summary for the current fiscal year, which started July 1st of 2020 and will run through June 30th of 2021. These totals will all be both for the month of July and also year-to-date totals. The general county fund revenue is $1,223,599. Expenditures are $4,104,664. Local coal and gas road improvement fund year-to-date, revenues are $360,350. Expenditures are $200,772. The E911 fund revenue was $21,747. Expenditures were $71,020. That spread is, of course, very bad on the general fund, but that's very typical of the month of July. July is a poor collection month, and we pay a lot of annual expenses during the month of July, so that's typical. The one thing I would note, gas severance and coal severance were pretty soft for the month of July, so keep our eye on that and see where the trend for it rolls. Have any questions about that?
So it was down for month of July.
Coal severance and gas severance both were, yeah.
I don't know since we're 8 months in, I don't know what an up month looks like.
We haven't had one in a while.
Have we seen one, P?
Haven't had one in a while.
Pretty scary.
Well, I don't understand, like we were talking earlier, they sure do a lot of reject of their coal. That thing's growing day by day, exponentially day by day.
Well,
Are
you have,
Are you gonna give the broadband before we make a motion?
yeah, I was gonna
approve?
say, if you wanna go ahead and ask what you were gonna ask earlier, probably the best time right now.
I didn't have any particular, I just wanted a little, how is the response? I know I turned 20-something names in, people called.
Well, we
gave
got our
me-
grant application in, which
Well,
is huge.
yeah, we'll start with the big picture first.
Okay.
You know, of course, we're still involved with everything through the planning district. There's no real change from what I've seen in terms of that. However, our own project was the IDA hired a consultant, Thompson and Litton. Eric Price is our specialist working with us. We actually did complete and get in our application working with Hillcom for a project. I can't remember the budget of the project off the top of
About
my head.
2.7 million.
I was thinking, I know at one time we had talked about it being a $3 million project, but we had scaled part of it back due to some circumstances. But we actually were able to get our project completed. It was all submitted through our CAMS system, which we did get verification that the application was received. So everything is good in that arena. And now we wait probably a few months before we find out what kind of awards come from that. I know that we've continued to do the internet survey. We actually did a little logistical change again on our website to give it a more prominent place again. So if you go to the county's website, it's one of the first things that you see on the first page is a place to do that. We still encourage people who are out there that listen to this, that don't have internet access. If you have not submitted your name and 911 address yet, please do, either to our office or to one of the supervisors. We are entering all of that data. We want as many data points for that as we can possibly get. And we've had pretty good response of late. I know we went and looked. We had actually put quite a few points on there. And Eric and I were supposed to have met later last week, but we just didn't get a chance to connect on that. But we're going to go and look at what we do have, and if we have voids, maybe we can come back in and try a little bit longer. I had talked to him, we were going to keep it open through the end of August, but if need be, we could extend that into September if we wanted to. So we continue to the more data we can get, the more information. We get a lot of people written in a lot of feedback, and we do read that. You may have internet service, but maybe it's not very good. Maybe it's not reliable. Maybe it's real choppy. It's good one day, it's terrible another day. Those are the kind of things that we need, because there's a lot of money out there right now, and we're looking for a way to be able to provide good, consistent internet to as many of our homes as we possibly can, and the way to do that is to know what you've got now.
Well, I had 20-some people call me, and I submitted them, I gave them to Mitzi. I made notes on all of them. Some of them had satellite, but it's bad.
Yep, and all that information is good stuff for us to know, because there are when you get into this, they'll say, well, those people do have service. Well, maybe it's just a satellite service, and it's really, really bad. We have people that'll tell you their service is good in the wintertime when the leaves are off the trees, and terrible in the spring and summertime when there's foliage. Those kind of things are what we need, because to me that's not reliable internet.
Well, a lot of folks are looking for that streaming capability too, and the school, this distance learning, that's going to be important.
Just like I had one lady say.
But there are I will add, there are other funding options out there for other projects. We just really can't overextend ourselves too much, because when you do an application for a project, you do have to state you have the financial resources, and we're thinking about the providers, because we worked with Hillcom on the first one. We're open to working with anybody on the next one, whoever a provider is. If they can demonstrate that they've got the financial wherewithal and the service that they can provide, we are open to working with anybody. And so anybody that's out there, we encourage, call our office, talk to Eric Price. Josh loves it when you call him, so you can call Josh. Just tell him that you're interested in helping us out, because we're looking for anybody and everybody to help us out with this.
Well, I tell you, I looked at the application, the detail that we put in, or Eric, on behalf of us, is unbelievable. I mean, there's like 50 pages of data, and I looked at some of the other counties. I think we got a great shot at a $3 million project that we started, in March? And that possibly could be started at the end of the year, best case scenario. So, I mean, we've dug in here and moved this thing, and I'm super proud of it. We may get denied, but I don't think we will.
I think I looked at our application versus several of the others. Our application looked good.
Yeah, it's unreal.
But people
Here-
don't
That was turned
understand
in
how
when, Josh?
detailed that
I
is.
think you
There's
turned it
one
in
question.
Monday?
It
Or no,
was
Friday,
the
maybe?
18th. It was last Monday.
Yeah, he sent it, and
17th.
so now
last
you can
Monday.
view all the applications of who we're competing against, and I looked at ours mainly. I looked at Buchanan, but ours, I mean, it's
Where do you go
incredible,
to?
the amount of detail.
Here's the only question I got. Cumberland Plateau, what they're putting there, or Point Broadband, I should say, isn't going to overstep ours, is it?
I don't know. I mean,
Well,
all we care about is we get it,
It's
but
all
I want to make sure
it's
that
all one big competitive pool. I can't assure you that they wouldn't say, okay, they're getting their service through the plateau, maybe. But I looked at our application versus some that I thought we would probably compete against, and our application was strong.
oh man.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
mean-
What was that you put on where the Cumberland Plateau got 5.6 million for Dickinson County?
Well, that's my that's,
And we haven't,
Yeah.
have we seen anything
No.
from that?
No,
That's-
that's the thing.
that's the point.
Well,
That's,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
over a series of years that they are required to do these projects and provide these services, and you are exactly right. To date,
Nothing.
We went to that meeting where Point Broadband briefed us out there in the government center, Lebanon, and they couldn't even tell us a line of projects that they had lined up for us next
Can our
year.
legislatures help us with this and might get them to move?
A part of that money's federal money too.
Well, how about our congressman?
I think you've got to really keep the pressure on at the planning district level, and it never hurts to talk to your Richmond and Washington folks.
But I'm tired. I'm tired of going there. We're going to do it ourselves. That's what we've done, and that's what we're doing, and we're
Oh,
going to get rid.
and
you know.
we need to go, we need to put the pressure on like we are, Josh. I'm not, anything I
But I'm
said
just
was-
saying. But I know. But I'm
Can
just
we put any
saying.
more pressure?
I'm sick of waiting on people.
Yeah, I
we've
am
kind of
too.
bootstrapped this ourselves, and I hope it comes to fruition. We'll never get no credit for
Well, I'd
it. but
like to say I got about 12 more houses this week.
Good for you.
Get more houses
You've done a
for
good
what?
job with that. I swear you have.
For what?
Scott County.
I know this is in your district, this woman called, said she's on a mile and a half from Scott County.
Who is it?
They live on Long Ridge. None of Long Ridge has it, but she said she was only, they live out more toward the end of Long Ridge, there where you can go off and go to West Bank. She said that she was only a mile and a half from Scott County. You know what I'm talking about? Mark Allen Mays.
I know where they live.
She says that Brushy Ridge, they have Scott County,
Mhm.
and that she was only a mile and a half from being able to hook on to Scott County.
I know they're looking at Long Ridge right now.
They did.
Also had a call from up Phillips Holler.
Is
They don't
Point
have any
Broadband
internet,
gonna
is
do any
that
more
correct?
hotspots?
I'd
I've
say
not
that's
heard.
correct. They did have it
It's
one
a-
time.
It's
Well,
right.
that one,
The
this
last
couple
time
that
I
called me
heard,
said
he
they
did
had
say they were looking at
satellites,
that
terrible.
church.
Yeah, it's a,
High-speed internet goes through Trammell, but it
Yeah.
does not go up Phillips Hall.
Right, goes up
I
the
think
main road.
Jimmy
My thing is,
Holbrook.
Holbrook and his wife have
other than that,
HughesNet.
I'll be the putting
It's
the pressure
terrible.
on every step.
You know, I had HughesNet for years, and it was absolutely
asking.
great.
Cumberland Plateau.
I never had any problem with HughesNet. And I had the Gen 4.
Scott County.
Anything else on the county
So we
administrator's
wanted to
report?
be able to bid on that.
If no other question, I make a motion, we approve his report.
Here a second.
Deal with them.
I second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Item 6, expenditures. This will be in your packet.
If there's no questions, I make a motion, we pass our expenditures report.
Here a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye as well. Item 7, roads. Start with Kennedy District, Ms. Willis.
All I've done is call in problems after the flood. I've got my whole district on 72 and Georges Fork was flooded.
Yeah, boy, you hit hard one.
Oh, yeah, and
Lower Georgia Fork was too.
so I've called in constantly, and all I can do is just tell you that VDOT's got the report, so just give them time.
Anybody here from the Kennedy District? I believe so. Clintwood District, Ms. Sluss.
I had, like she said, Lower Georges Fork. I've called Mr. Kilgore, and I do have a problem sometimes. That I come upon this couple that lives right there at Camp Creek, and it was slippage there. And they had a fellow, there was just 2 of them on that road though, but I called I don't know if he's gonna take, our thing calls for 3, right?
Mhm.
3 people to live on a
Right.
road,
Mhm.
which sometimes is a little bit hard, because some of these, like up there where you at Cook's Branch and Lower George's Fork was hit pretty hard, and I felt so sorry for them. They had hired a backhoe on their own. I did call the shop yesterday. I think we could squeeze in the 3rd house there. They need some gravel. But I did call Salem, like Shelby said, put in my request, and hopefully. I got a nice woman this time.
They were all nice to me when I called.
Jennifer.
Just tell them who you are.
I do, and I called them Monday, talked to Jennifer, and also discussed with her about this out here. That's been, DEQ has approved that. He said they'd start work on that next week. Anybody here? Angie, got anything? That looks pretty good out there, don't it? I mean,
Josh, I know you called about guardrails. I did too yesterday, 'cause, you know, I had the accident where the
We
guy
both had accidents.
got his neck broke, and I don't know how many vehicles has gone off. And actually, I had that scheduled a year, 2 or 3 years ago, and they were put at the wrong end of Rachel Chapel. And so they said they could move them. I said, no, that's too much trouble. So
Sheriff, you got something?
Just briefly, and you guys touched on it, guardrails, Brush Creek Road, I guess you guys are aware, a young man lost his life, I think it's Saturday. That is, I believe it's 6 fatalities in 11 years in that stretch of road, 2.5 miles.
I bet I've had that many up there where
How
that
many?
guy wrecked on Canyon.
6.
six
We need to
fatalities?
highlight that in
That's
the
2
request.
this
Yeah, we're
year.
going to.
If you recall, we had one back in March, same road, about 2 miles up, fatality as well. So that's the second one this year. I've emailed, called Mike Gully, called Rhonda accidentally over the weekend. I called you as well, Josh. I wasn't sure whose district that was.
It's mine.
I knew the
I told
line
him
was
it was
very
yours,
close
Josh.
right there, but, yeah, if we can do something, I mean, something's got to be done. There's just no room for error.
That's going to, the top of the Coal Road Committee request. So I don't know what we're gonna have to do.
And I contacted VDOT and Wise on Monday, and we're due a Coal Road meeting that we wanted
Yeah,
with
that's
all of you. And as soon as we get that set up, I agree, that's gotta be a top line, both of your all situations. Mainly because, I mean, too many accidents, and certainly, fatalities and injuries that could have been prevented with some guardrail in a few areas would be extremely helpful. And the amount of time we have to wait to get guardrail is just.
Well, that's, we got the money there, and that's the place.
Charlie Reward is
like
the
he
one
said,
that's
it's just
supposed
no
to find out,
excuse, really.
except if it got
Yeah,
rid of
and I
it.
definitely
There's a
think,
lot of places.
I think it's Joshua Ward,
Road.
because Joey Mullins used to do the guardrails, and they moved Joey up. And the last person that called me, with your issue last month, it was Joshua Ward.
Yeah.
And so he must have took over that position. So I texted him yesterday, or emailed him. He hasn't responded. But I don't think they're all working all the time, because
Herman was at home when I talked to him.
I called Harmon, and Harmon said, I'm off today, that, we're taking turns,
yeah.
I guess, in the office.
Yeah, I called the other day. They're working from the home some.
Yeah,
And, from a law enforcement standpoint, knowing those could have been prevented with guardrail.
both of them
it's-
could have been prevented.
Yeah. But that's all I have. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
The Irvington District, Ms. Kaiser. Anybody here for the Irvington District for a road concern?
While I'm here, I would just, always like to see if we could possibly get the lines back on the road from, I think it's 661, is that right, from Fremont to Counts and down to, that's 661.
That or 652. It's one of those two, I think.
No, from the state garage.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's probably 661.
I would love to see us get lines back on that road. It's really, there's a lot of truck traffic on it, and you really do need lines back there. Yes,
Harmon,
that's all I have.
Harmon,
What's Herman?
Harmon.
There's a culvert that goes under the road, and it's in dire need of repair. If you can check with Mike or.
I've already called them once about that, and
It's still not,
but I'll call again.
if you wouldn't mind, it's a huge issue, and somebody drops off in it, coal trucks come down through our line.
Is it right
It's right
past,
in the curve. If you You know where their dirt
Yeah.
parking lot is?
Yeah.
It's right after you start down the curve, right before you get to the intersection. It's right there on the right, the culvert is. And if somebody drops off into that,
Yeah.
it's going to be a bad situation, especially tow trucks. Like I said, they come down through there applying.
Okay.
It needs some attention bad.
I have called Salem and gave them some concerns over on Sullivan Branch at the main top where people use it as a turnaround to come back out. Hale Hill, I think that road is sort of starting to drop off. I've called that. I've got a guy want me to come to Frying Pan. I've been out of town this weekend. I told him that I'd do my best to get there tomorrow afternoon, so then I'll report that one. So I've been calling Salem as well. But I'll call back on that one down there.
Anything else from the Irvington district? Is that all, Peggy, for you?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Peters, the Sand Lake district?
Anyone from Sand Lake District? I don't see anyone. I got something though. The gentleman that came to last meeting and asked about that speed study, or
Yes.
Mr. Reese, I remember him.
I sent an email to Harmon the next day, and I got a response from Joey Mullins and stuff, but he said he has to hunt it down. This isn't the official thing. I got some additional information. I've been trying to get a hold of Harmon. I'll send him an email.
Have they?
They've got 7 places along that stretch where he's talking about that the bus has to stop,
Right.
pick up children.
But I know we've requested that. Had they ever responded?
He just gave me, yeah, we think we looked at it and they didn't look at it favorably, but they haven't given us an official response. And he said it wasn't official. He has to dig it back up. I sent him an email Sunday night again.
I know they've got a lot of new people and a lot of new jobs, but
But one of the other things that I noticed was, well, what I found out, there's an actual town sign laying on that guy's property that's been, I didn't realize it, it's been mowed down 2 years ago. So he weed eats around it, he's getting tired of having to do that. But I would think at least at that sign, they should start at 35 if it's part of the corporate limits.
they just need to come back out and look at it again and make a final determination
Yeah.
in writing. Because I mean, that's how you get things done with them,
Yeah.
is in writing.
But I'm gonna call him and ask him, add some additional
Okay.
stuff.
Is that a sign that they need to put back up, or does the town need to put it up?
It'll be their sign, if it's the way he described it's their
Oh,
sign.
VDOT sign, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I will. Go
I
ahead-
just didn't realize it, because it's hidden in the weeds and stuff.
I'll go ahead and tell you that Teresa and I will reach out and we'll try to get a Coal Road meeting set up for September.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, the only other thing I was mentioned to me by Richie, there's a culvert over by him plugged up, and I gotta take care of that too.
Anything else from Sand Lake? Willis, is anybody here from the Willis? Of course, we heard from Sheriff there. Unfortunately, Dickinson County lost a 19, 20-year-old young man in the past week. Auto accident in the Pound River section, and you wouldn't believe that the amount of 18, 19-year-olds that have contacted me over this, not being negative or not being anything, but how can I help? What can we do to help get guardrail there? And that's pretty impressive, when your young people not paying attention, but now they do pay attention, and if anything good, and my prayers go out to that family. I can't imagine what they're going through, but if there's any bright line in that, it's that, showing the caring and compassion the community shown that young man and his family. And I'll do whatever I can do to get the guardrail on the riverbank there. And like Jeremy said, it's been decades, a couple of decades, that there's been just one fatality after the other. And you never know if that could have prevented it or not. It's impossible to know that, but at least we can say we tried to do something. And so we're going to do that. And I appreciate David and Shelby mentioning that too. So, but I like everybody else, I've worked Darrell to death, I guess, trying to get things scraped up from the flooding. It seems like one hit after the other. But that's all I've got to say on my road situation in the Willis. I'm just, again, my sympathies and prayers and thoughts go out.
I've got several
The
in
family.
Darrell if it's a truck shop, but He says they're so shorthanded up there, he had to go out and pick up garbage today.
Well, that's what I told, we can talk. I called Darrell and Travis Bode. They need to start working those work program guys. I mean, I don't really, and I told Morgan too. I mean, that's something that they need to start taking advantage of. We got, gosh, I don't know, 10 or 15 people in that work program, and they signed waivers, so let's put them on the back of a trash truck or something. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up, but they are undermanned up there, but, moving on to item 8, this is in our packet, I believe, a email and some information from Mr. Edwards with the Cumberland Plateau Waste Management Authority. Toby, I'll let you have the floor for a minute.
I'm not sure I've got additional ones, but in your package, do you have the one that says tire cutting machine options on the front of it?
That might be in the,
I do.
that's in the extra stuff.
You got it?
I do.
Yeah, it is.
All right. If anybody needs a copy, I have one, but
Yeah.
we'll start with that topic first.
It's your 8A handout.
I know most of you may have read most of this, and I'll just give you a synopsis, but our situation, our background is the transfer stations in all 3 counties, Buchanan, Dixon, Russell, collects tires. We're the point that most all tire dealers or citizens bring their tires, and over the last few years, we've had a contract, the Waste Authority's had a contract with West Virginia Tire. They're located in Summersville, West Virginia. And of course, most like any business going through COVID right now, they've had their issues. And employees trying to get new drivers and so on. But in that packet, I gave you some background on an idea or a suggestion, how we could save money for the county and be able to take care of our own tires and not have to worry about a third-party vendor. As you can see where I highlighted, if we go with tire cutting machines, we could drive the cost down and, save our counties an additional $20,000 a year combined, all 3. And the next page, or on that first page, here's some options on my research, and this is what I took to the Waste Authority Board last Thursday and presented to them on an options that were available to us and how to take care of this problem long term. And as you can see, option number 7, which is the purchase of a tire machine or tire cutting machine for Russell and Dickinson County, and a tire shear for Buchanan. Buchanan has a tire cutting machine. In past years, Dickinson had a tire cutter, but it was more of a scale up from a wood splitter, and it was very dangerous, and I was none too happy to get rid of that thing. I was afraid someone was going to either hurt their back or worse. But this machine, I sent you a link. Hopefully, you were able to watch that video. It's very simple. It's very simple to run. And, with any machine, there's always an option or opportunity to get somebody get hurt. But this one has more fail-safes in it than anything that's out there for the money.
Toby,
And-
does this require an employee to run this?
Mhm.
So we would have to hire,
No new
Just like
additional
a
hires.
as-needed
No,
type thing.
no new additional hires. We have 3 employees at the transfer station, and as we are doing in Buchanan County, we're getting probationers. They're coming and splitting tires and cutting tires. It's in the state code of Virginia that we're exempt from liability if they're working on litter detail or at a transfer station. Frank Kilgore got that legislation passed many years ago. But anyway, that's what Buchanan County's doing right now. They're cutting probably 200 tires every 2 hours. And it's saving them a lot of money. And they've got their tire issue under control. Right now,
Start keeping them out of the river.
well, that too, but right now, our problem here in Dickinson County is we have no more space. We got a truck yesterday, and hopefully we'll get another truck back before the end of the week, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. But long-term, and to save you all money, I know yous are needing precious resources and precious money. It will drive down your cost a great deal, and you could potentially make money if you also desire to do that. I highly recommend leaving the cost at the window at $76 a ton. That's currently what you charge. And, but as you can see in the email that I sent out to everybody, the cost figures and what it would cost you all to just put it in the trash and send it to the landfill. See, our guidelines, we can't put a whole tire in the trash. That's against DEQ, and it's also against TDEC, which are our landfills in Tennessee. It has to be the cut or the sidewalls have to be taken out. The machine that we're going to buy is a sidewall cutter. It'll cut the sidewalls out, and we just simply throw it in the trash. And but I'm here tonight. As you know, our new articles of incorporation were changed this year and updated. In that, it says that any balances that the Waste Authority has is to be divided by 3 and given back to the counties. We have about $21,000 left over from last year. That's combined, not each. What I'm asking this board is if we could keep that money and purchase this equipment that we all need. There's no extra money that the county would be out, and we take care of the long-term problem. I've talked with the county administrator in Russell, Rebecca, their county, or their chairman, and they're all aboard. They got more tires than we do here in Dixon County. And in Buchanan, I've talked to Craig Horn and Craig Stiltner, and I've got to go to their board, but they're all for it as well. But my, I guess, plea or request is that the Waste Authority keep the remaining funds left over this year. That was ending in June 30th. Purchase the tire equipment that we need to take care of the tires long term. So there's really no extra money being spent. It's just we're getting the equipment that we need to take care of a problem.
I guess a no-brainer.
Toby, I gotta make some comments here.
All right?
Who's gonna own the machine when we buy
The
it?
Waste Authority.
The Waste Authority.
And the Waste
Okay.
Authority will make sure that it's maintained and it's taken care of. That won't
Okay.
be the responsibility of the county.
We need to, it's my understanding Baycorp's not gonna, they're not recommending we do this.
Okay?
They're, because of liability. They're our
So it
insurance.
could affect our workers' comp.
Well, it's our, they insure our facilities.
They would not be covered by workers' comp. They would
Yeah.
not be an employee,
No, the probationers wouldn't.
no.
And, when you say we're gonna save, if we don't get that free labor, this really isn't gonna save us.
Actually,
it really
you got-
is-
well, wait a minute. How is it not gonna save? You've got 3 employees, they're sitting down there every day.
Well, but they can't take on this full time.
Why?
They will be able to take on some of it, you're right.
But why couldn't they? There's 3 of them.
How
That's
often
what
do they
I'm
cut
told.
up these tires, Toby?
Say it again.
How do they cut up the tires?
After we get this initial wave cut up, once, twice a week is about
Well, I
the
don't see
volume.
why 3 employees couldn't handle that.
They can. 2 employees at Buchanan County are taken care of.
So you're saying there's no additional cost for us whatsoever? If anything, we might gain a little bit.
And I don't want, I'm not
I
trying to
understand.
sound all negative, I mean,
No,
I'm
I'm glad you
impressed,
bring
I
it up.
watched the video since then, I did realize I did have it, and I watched it, and it looks pretty easy.
It's simple, there's-
But I wanna make sure we're covered, because this is only gonna save, it
Oh.
really, we're getting paid to dispose of them at $76. If we do this, 'Cause
Actually,
we're charging that at the window.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out some math here.
okay, let me work you the math. Right now, you're paying $76 a ton. Your customer brings a load of tires in, they're paying $76 a ton.
I agree.
You're zero, okay?
Right.
Yeah, we're zero.
If you leave it at $76 a ton, Dickinson County is gonna be billed by the Waste Authority at $35 a ton.
Yeah.
So the difference between 76 and 35.86 is what is going into your general fund.
Yeah, and what's in the
That's your
email,
problem.
what's in the email,
$41 or
Josh,
something.
is $20,000 would have been saved under that
Right.
for all three counties
Correct.
combined last year. Now, I know West Virginia's tires indicating that they're gonna be in operation again now. And
I
I
don't
will have
trust-
to see on that, but I wanted to, I think for liability reasons, we need to look at this deeper to make sure.
David, what do you think?
Well, I know Toby and I have talked about this, and the thing that makes it a little different for us is our tonnage. Our tonnages are less than what others generate. And of course, I track this because this comes through on our bill. You bill, if you have a haul coming out of transfer station, it bops up on our bill. We will average the $1,000 charge for it, 9 or 10 times a year.
Right.
That's basically how it pays out for us.
Yep.
The concept, I watched the video, looks simple. Of course, for us, we do supply the manpower, and I will listen to what they say. Now, whether the three of them can handle it or not, I got different opinions of that. The ability to use probationers does, to me, make a difference here.
Yeah, it does, it does.
Because
need to
we
use
can, we have
Well, I
plenty
want-
of people that need to work off hours,
Amen.
that need to be put with somebody somewhere, and if this is an option for those people to be able to work time off,
I agree.
I'm okay with it.
I think it's the greatest idea.
Now, the thing we also need to, and I wanna be upfront with my board so you know everything.
Yeah,
This
please.
is not gonna take care of all the tires, because there are some tires, if they come in with rims, we're gonna have to toss into the old bin and have West Virginia Tire
Correct.
take care of.
Until next year, one of the things, let me add to that, Ron. Until next year, we're gonna try to budget in our budget for next year to buy the shear like we're getting for Buchanan County.
And that'll cut through the rim?
That'll cut through the rim.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
why we're getting a shear for them. They've already got a tire
Yeah.
machine. We need a cutter, and then
And
we
we talked
work
about
bugs
that.
out over there.
Toby, I have a question. Let me ask you this, if West Virginia hauls them off, do they recycle them?
No, they have a tire landfill.
They have a tire landfill?
If you go to the Cumberland Plateau Waste Authority's Facebook page, I have a wonderful picture of what the landfill up there looks like. It shows the machine that cuts the tires and where one of my employees from Buchanan was standing at. It's an 8 feet drop straight down to the bottom, and that'll give you a visual of how deep of tires they have. It's
Okay,
pretty
now,
nice.
if
We're
we,
gonna have to use our guys at the transfer station to train these people. And then they're gonna have to be shown to come get them. If the tire's a different size, you have to make adjustments. to
Right,
the
we got a
machine.
little attachment we got with that.
Yeah, and they have to physically take it apart a little bit. It's not a lot, but then we gotta sharpen those blades, so they're gonna have to be trained on how to do that.
And the boys, Michael and Kevin can do that.
Yeah,
It-
I
you've seen
wouldn't
in the
think a
video.
probationer would be doing
Yeah,
that.
we don't want them to do that.
I have another question.
I-
Now, if we cut our tires,
Mm-hmm.
like you say, where are they going?
To the trash.
Landfill.
They go in, we can put them in their trash.
They're going to
The
our
landfill.
landfill that
Yes.
we have
Yeah,
out
there is.
where we
That's right.
take the rest of our garbage.
Exactly, at a cheaper rate than we're paying now for the West Virginia tire.
So I take it, nobody recycles tires anymore? I mean, you can buy rubber mulch.
That's my
The
problem.
closest one, and in your options, number one was Patriot Tire. They are using their tires for fuel at Roanoke Cement. And just to give you an idea, there's $135 a ton. With additional
Double
fees.
them up.
Additional fees include if it's a truck tire, that's an additional fee. If it has mud in it, that's an additional fee. Those fees on top of the $135 a ton, when I got their quote, I just let it back down on the desk. This is, unrealistic.
So
No, we can't afford that.
equipment wise, we buy the machine, we gotta buy a shed to put, or some kind of carport to
Correct.
put it in. We're gonna need an air compressor and we're gonna need power run to it.
Yep. I already have our electrician, he's already geared up, ready to go, and I'm gonna hopefully the first of the week have the tire machine or the air compressors. I'm gonna
So
try to
we-
go with a two-stage air compressor too.
So we paid $8,892 for tire disposal last year. Is that right? And with a tire cutting machine, we would pay how much with the same tonnage?
I thought I put that on there, I'm
Well, I'm
sorry.
looking, it says $117, or, excuse me, 117 tons. Cost us $8,892. So how much
The ones
would
that
it?
came in the window, the person bringing it paid for that.
Alright.
So
Well, that's
you
what I'm
have-
trying to get at, is how we're saving money, because
All right.
Well, we will save some if.
You
if
take
it
the,
pans out.
all right, you take the same tonnage, which was 117 tons,
correct.
plus 35.86 a ton.
$4,200.
Okay, I'm sorry, I see, all right.
That's where you're
Um,
gonna
And
save.
that's because it's just cut, it's easier to handle and dispose of, or why is that? I'm just curious. I don't get it. I mean,
Well,
It won't come to the surface.
Instead of paying the tire rate for having a haul off, you're just putting it with the rest
Chunk
of
of
your.
Just
rubber,
regular-
right?
The
You're-
landfill has
You're
to be
putting
dug
it
up
your
for
waste
state.
in, so
yeah,
it's
you
a
can't put a
different.
whole tire in a landfill because in theory, and by law, it'll, if you put the tire on the bottom of the landfill hole, in a few years, it'll be back on the surface and it tears up liners and caps and everything.
They'll
really the
take
one
it,
machine-
when it's cut up, they'll take it.
The
Yeah,
one
oh,
machine
yeah.
is gonna
Yeah,
cost
okay.
us $6,000 or so dollars? Did I
Uh,
see two machines are 13,000?
Yeah, the total cost,
So I mean, it'll pay for itself in a year then, basically. Right?
yeah,
Am I missing something?
No, I think that's right.
I mean, roughly.
Well, Mr. Phillips, do you have any concerns litigation wise, or whether you guys need to research this any?
Mr. Chairman, if I might,
Yes, sir.
it is always better, the best possibility from a legal standpoint is to have your employees who are covered by workers' compensation to work at this job if you have those available. That would be my first recommendation, if you can utilize them, and so that you don't incur any potential liability because they're covered by workers' comp. If they're covered by workers' comp, they cannot sue you for job injury. The second issue is then, do you use folks who are on the work program through the circuit court, or do you use people from the regional jail? And I would assume, I'm assuming that you want to use those folks that are in the circuit court work programs, what I assume that you're contemplating. Now, the question there is, first of all, transportation, who transports those people?
They have to get their own transportation.
That's what I understood that they did, they transport themselves. Secondly, those individuals then would have to be trained and supervised.
of course.
Somebody's going to have to train them, and somebody at the landfill would have to, or at the region station is going to have to supervise those individuals to ensure that they are doing the work and responsibility, and work and doing it right and doing it safely. The third thing that you asked me, Mr. Peters, is whether or not, and I'm going to get pretty legal and technical here. The question is, and I'm very familiar with the legislation, I know when it passed, I know what it says, and I've read it several times, and I was there when that legislation actually passed the General Assembly. And so the real issue is going to be at some point in time, if they sign a waiver of responsibility and waiver of negligence. That is one issue. That they would be asked to sign a waiver of responsibility. Now, will that waiver be signed through the employer, or not the employer, through the folks at the transfer station, or is it signed when they sign up for work through the clerk's office? I would need to actually discuss this with the director. I don't know who the director is.
Morgan Turner.
I've heard of Morgan Turner, but I don't know, and I'd have to discuss the whole process. The second question I'd ask, I know they're working off hours. Are they going to be reimbursed for any work that they do? That'd be the second question.
As far as like for their court costs and fines type
Yes.
thing? No.
They are. The ones in Buchanan County, Amanda, she's the coordinator over there, like Missy Carter is in Russell. They're working their fines off, they have to punch in at a certain time, just like they are on the job until they get their time. But the judge over Buchanan County is, taking those hours, and they have a cost, how much they're making per hour.
So they get credit.
They get credit.
Now, there's a difference in community service and work program. The way our work program is, it's in lieu of a jail sentence. So if they would have gotten a 180-day jail sentence, they do 180 days in the work program. It's not working for, say, minimum wage to be applicable to court costs and fines or whatever.
Yeah.
That's my understanding. So there's I know what you're getting at there, and that's an
The
important
reason,
distinction.
yeah, the major distinction why I can refer back to when I was, my other life as a judge, we used those out of the regional jail. They were actually given so much per hour credit, and then they were credited toward their fines and their costs.
I don't think that, the work, I think, and I could be wrong, but my understanding has been that that's separate. The work program is not, the intent of the work program is not for that. It
Not
is for,
I'm not sure how it works here, Josh,
But I'd have to ask some questions.
Not
there.
everyone would be qualified to do this either.
but that's an important, if we're using some dangerous equipment, that's something that's very important.
So the reason I was getting to a legal technical point, if that individual is, in a sense, he's earning income toward fines and costs, the question that I'm going to have is whether or not, now, the statute that I'm familiar with, basically, if you use folks out picking up trash, and they get out there and do those under supervision, for example, and then they get credit for those things. And that statute basically contemplates, as I recall, that they could not, quote, come back and sue the county for any, if they get run over on a highway, or if they get hurt, like at a job at the landfill or at the transfer station. That question has never, ever been tested in the Supreme Court of Virginia.
That's right.
And I would be derelict in my duty to tell you that I'm not sure how that would end up if it goes there. Let me tell you why. There's a principle of law, and Mr. Chairman is probably aware of this. Virginia frowns upon waiving your right of negligence before the negligence occurs. When you get hurt on the job, you get hurt in an accident, you can settle a case and those kinds of things, but there is a principle saying that the courts disfavor a person of waiving their right prior to negligence. And I'll give you an example of that. And that is when you go to an amusement park and you put a kid on an amusement ride, lots of places want you to sign a waiver saying you're not going to sue me if that kid gets hurt on that amusement ride. Well, the question is going to be whether it's a valid waiver by that child. The question is going to be is that going to be a valid waiver by this probationer? Even though it's condition of probation, if he can waive his right if he gets hurt down there working. And as I said, I understand what the law is, but the question is whether or not it is constitutional, and the question would be whether or not it would be upheld in the court, particularly the Supreme Court of Virginia. And so I'd have to learn a little more about that and to see, and I know counties have been relying upon this work. I know counties have been using a lot of this work all over Southwest Virginia to do that. And so that's where we are. And but the best of all worlds would be to use your employees.
The big point I wanted to make, as long as we don't have to hire another employee, even part-time, it makes
I'm not asking you to
financial.
do that.
I know you're not. But we also need to be concerned about the litigation thing.
So, go ahead. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, if you got a question,
Yeah,
go ahead.
the 13,800, so this is surplus monies from your
This is what
2020 budget?
This is what we just finished up in June of this year,
Right.
June 30th. It's not been audited yet, but that's what my finance manager and I have sat down and went through the numbers, and that's
So what is your carryover? How much is your
21,000.
carryover?
The total was
21,600.
21,600 is what
Okay,
we
that's
had
it.
left over. And you divide
But
that
that's
by three,
divided
it's
by 3
72
counties,
Right.
correct?
$7,200.
I would
That's
like to
roughly
talk
what it
to
is.
this now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
now this is where I need to be good faith with my county. When we talked about this, Toby, but I have to, you know, at the meeting last week, I didn't want to speak out of turn without going and checking. So now I'm gonna read something to you. This is out of the December 2018 minutes from our meeting. Reports were presented for the month. Mr. Edwards stated that Bostic Tucker had completed the audit for the prior year. Mr. Edwards will meet with Ron Bostic before the next board meeting. At that time, the overage amount will be decided and the amount to go back to the counties will be determined. A motion was made by Andrew Chafin, and we moved on from there. Now, here's my question and concern. And just so you guys understand, the fiscal year ends the 30th of June each year. And then it takes 6 months to 7 or 8 months for that audit to come back. So this audit came back early because that was the year we left Cumberland Plateau. So this audit was on Cumberland Plateau. And they started it early that year because they knew it was moving out from under them. Now, I went back and looked at this, Toby, and I'm really alarmed at what happened last week. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, you gave us a letter that was dated April of this year, and you said this overage was 29,000. In here, it was implied, and we did say this in our meeting, that we were gonna give that money back to the counties then.
In
Yeah, you
18,
came in last week and you wanted the monies given back to the waste authority. And we could do that because the new articles didn't apply to this. But so that was $29,000. Now, I'm gonna tell you, and then you had the other one for 2019, and I do know we talked about that, and we said because of the cost we had with
For the
all the
floors.
maintenance refurbishing.
18, 19 was for the floors, Ron. Our board approved that.
Well, no, in 18, we talked, and it's in the minutes, that we were gonna give a surplus.
That was never my
Because they wanted, after moving out, they wanted to send a message back to the county showing that we did give them their money back. That was
That's right,
discussed.
when the new bylaws and articles were passed.
But then
And that was this year.
2019, we got another 30,000. This is the year that we're under Cumberland Plateau, or separate from Cumberland Plateau. So we're sitting at about a $30,000 surplus each time. Now, the thing you guys need to understand, and I'm sorry, I heard a key phrase that day. And I remember the comment to Ron Peters, or no, the comment to you was that we needed to make sure that all the counties, what they're looking for is transparency. But then there was this hush, 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 we don't want to tell everything, but where did that $50,000 go? That 29 and 29?
It's in our account. It's on the front page, that's why
And we
I
made a
asked.
motion to put it back on, and you were carrying a balance, and
Because
they're
we
over
spent-
$200,000,
Mr.
and we're asking.
Mr. Chairman, if, the issue is we got a running debate, and if.
I understand, and I kind of was educating myself. And
I know, but the proper way to do it would be to allow him to
Yeah.
make his point,
You
and
go
then
ahead.
allow him to
okay.
respond while the
The
interruption.
point I want you guys to realize is there's $200,000 sitting out there. So we shouldn't have to give up the 21,000. We worked hard on a user agreement to start getting the mindset that these are our county's monies and they should be returned to the counties each year if there's money left over.
Y'all got $200,000?
Yeah, well, it was 196 and we added
Wait,
58,000.
Mr. Chairman, you wait,
I'm
Mr.
waiting till
Peters,
Ron gets through talking.
Rhonda's marks, and Mr.
So y'all have
Solis can respond.
$200,000?
We have grant money that we got when we were formed. Let me educate every one of you, and I hope I can educate you, Ron. Tonight's a good night. I'm had enough of Ron Peters.
No, wait.
I want to explain something.
Well, I know, but let
I
me
won't be
stop,
nice.
let me stop. You cannot specifically address Mr. Peters that way. You
Okay,
need
I'm
to
sorry.
address it another way.
I'm sorry, Ron. I want to educate you on the funding that we have.
You may do that.
We have funding that we got when we were created back in 1993 and 92. The TVA and other granting agencies provided our 3-member counties with monies to get started with. TVA bought scales, they bought equipment, and they gave us a fund in order to be able to pay our bills until our counties could pay us. Each month, we get a bill from Advanced Disposal for $300,000. We make no money. If we don't have that money in our account, we can't pay our bills. It's with any county government. If you were working on zero and you got a bill in, until you got your payment in, your check's gonna bounce. That's why we have that grant money below the line. This past year, we, the Waste Authority, agreed to put in new floors at all 3 facilities. We used some of that money out of our grant, or capital outlay money, that's what it's called. It's in everybody's, there's transparency, because I've been sending each of you our board packets. We hide nothing, never have. And I hope you don't really think that we are hiding anything, because that really bothers me. And what we asked to do at our last meeting, when we funded or took money out of that account and paid for our floors at all 3 facilities, we're asking that money to be put back into that account. Because it does look like we've had $200,000, and that's not right. The money was to be decided to put back. It was done in 18, when Trey Atkins and the other ones were on that board. They voted to keep that money. That was before these new guidelines or the new articles of incorporation. That's why I'm here tonight. My turn to speak.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Ron. Do you have anything else?
Well.
He's not
I think
finished.
it makes it-
I'm still talking.
I think Mr. Edwards still has the floor, Mr. Chairman.
That's why I'm here tonight. Transparency. I'm asking for you all to be able to let us keep that money in order to buy this equipment. I could have said, well, just, give it back. But I'm asking to do something good with this money to help save yous money. If you want the money back, it's $7,200. At our next board meeting, we'll vote to give you $7,200 back, and we'll deal with your tires some other way. I mean, that's that easy.
But
We have a problem. We need to address the problem.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, on,
Any other discussion, or?
I have,
I understand you keep $200,000 as an operating capital outlay.
That's from the grant monies. That money never came from the counties, ever. That money was
understand.
never the county. I had a county administrator, I'm gonna answer your question. We had a county administrator from Russell County at one time, said, you owe us that money back. I said, no, we do not. That money never came from these counties. It came from the Tennessee Valley Authority and other granting agencies to get us started, to be able to pay the bills. Because we don't make no money. When we charge you, it's exactly what it is.
What you take out of that $200,000, you said do the floors.
That's what we did for
You
it.
put it back in.
That's what we did last week, is to ask that money that was left over at 18-19 to be put back into that account. That's what we did.
okay,
What's the problem with that, Ron?
well, you need to understand what's going on.
Well, we're
Ryan,
trying.
Yeah,
and I know you're listening to you, but, this money, when we left Cumberland Plateau, all this money is in one bank account. Cumberland Plateau's point of view is that grant money was spent years ago. And, the thing is, I guess my question is, several months ago, we did do a lot of maintenance. And we specifically, you asked us, we pulled $73,000 out of that money that's allegedly to the side to pay for that. Why were we asked to do that if you knew there was $29,000 from 2018?
We hadn't had an audit yet.
The audit was done back in December of 18.
Because the 18 audit was done. We knew what we had then, but we didn't know what we had in 19. That's when
And
I got with Ron, and Ron gave us the letters. That's why I brought it to you.
And I guess my question is, I'd like to see where we voted to keep that 2018 money. 'cause
I will
don't
provide
see
that to you, Ron.
it. Okay.
Mr. Edwards, can I ask another
Yes, ma'am.
question?
Yes, ma'am.
I have a lot of plastic. Why can't we not recycle our plastic anymore?
Oh, you've heard of the China trade war?
Yeah, I know, that's what,
The recycling market, Shelby,
Nobody
is
buys.
horrible right now.
I hate to put my
I
plastic in the
know,
landfill.
I do too.
You can't pay people to recycle, can you?
Yeah, and you know, we've
And I
spent
thought we
so
were
many years.
required to recycle so much of it.
Virginia has the
20%.
mandate.
20%, is it 20%?
Yeah, well, it's down to 15 now for
Yes.
rural counties.
Nobody won't buy it though.
But
Yeah,
the
it's a
thing
problem.
is, it's just, and
It'd be
we
one-
have no place to take it to. The guy that's over in Russell County, the only way he's staying in business is he's recycling cars. He said if it had been for him going and picking up cars, he'd have done been out of business.
I just wanted to ask.
Well, I guess I want to narrow the issue a little bit. Do we want to, and I understand Ron's point, and I'm frankly glad he's bringing some stuff up we don't know about. We don't have the ability to micromanage that board,
No.
and those are issues that they're gonna have to take up. And I'll let you talk with me, Ron. I don't
Well,
disagree with
no,
anything
no,
you're
I want you
saying.
to
I
understand
can
is,
see where it needs operating.
here's the thing that I also should point out on this. The first one, you asked a question. a minute
Not
ago,
on that.
And it
I don't
shows,
see a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it.
hey, it shows that, the plan, you know, it came in funny, and I asked you about this the other day. Showed Buchanan getting 2174, 10,180.49 for us, and 16,875. And this is presented, let me read the letter. At your request, I have calculated the amount of advance overhead that should be refunded to the individual counties of Cumberland Plateau Regional Waste Management Authority for fiscal year 2018. This letter is dated August 5th, 2020. But what you need to understand is each of us pay equally into this. So any refund should be equally, and that's what we've been pursuing on this user agreement. That's what I've had to have Bud working, because there was a plan for them to try to change it so that they could do some kind of formula to pay out more to one county than another. But we each pay equally into this. I can show you in minutes where it was discussed in their version of the user agreement.
We pay according to what we dispose of.
Do you have
And
Now,
according-
we're not talking about the
On
tires, I'm
this,
talking about the surplus.
Table this for
But-
now.
Well, I wanna make can I make
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman?
The floor is open. That's why I'm gonna end the discussion now.
Mr. Chairman, I thought you were heading in the direction that you only have one matter in front of you. All the others tangent issues.
Exactly. That's why I'm
Well,
trying to
I'm-
narrow this down. Do
I
we-
wanted to make a
Yeah,
motion.
not-
Go ahead.
So the issue is whether or not to refund the money. That's the issue today.
Well, not
Not
refund it,
refund
not
it,
to
to
exchange.
allow us
To
to
allow
in
you
a
to
sense,
keep
it's
it to buy that.
yeah, in
Buy
a
the
So
sense,
the
it's-
issue is, do we allow them to keep their surplus money
Make a
that
motion.
would otherwise be owed to us?
I'll make
to
a
buy the
motion.
power machine?
That we allow them to keep their surplus money to buy the tire machine.
Is there a
And
second?
the other things that Ron's brought up is very good points, and that'll have to be discussed with the board.
I'm gonna second the motion.
Yeah, I'll make a substitute motion, we table this.
But we have a substitute motion to table this issue. and I'm
She
gonna-
seconded.
She
No,
seconded yours
no.
before he made a substitute motion?
I did,
All right, we'll take a vote. We'll ask-
but he can make a substitute motion.
she made the motion, and you made a substitute motion prevails over the.
Right, right. I thought he made
They
it
just
before I heard
don't
her
say
second. So we
But
have,
it
a-
don't matter.
There was a second,
a second to his substitute motion.
not yet.
Not yet.
I'm gonna second Ron's substitute motion. So we're gonna take up a vote on the substitute motion. I'm gonna start with Ms. Willis on a roll call vote. How do you vote on Mr. Peters' motion to table this issue?
No.
Ms. Slush?
No.
Ms. Kaiser?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. So we will table this for further discussion, and examination. And my vote basically went, I was kinda asking David to see what his input was on these numbers, and I think that
I think we need to have just a moment to clarify the matter for Mr. Phillips with our work program coordinator, because I know we have a new work program coordinator. I think that we're still probably a little hazy on how all that works for us. And I'd really like Mr. Phillips to have a chance to sit down and talk to him to make sure, because I do think we will probably need to utilize some of those folks in some manner, and whether it's going to be with this or other work that we do. If there's a way to shift work around, I don't want to put our guys in a position of giving them a task and then not giving them the ability to be able to carry it out.
I don't disagree.
So,
Well, then, are you also saying with this, David, that Mr. Phillip, where they get up and pick up trash, is that a similar situation?
It would be,
So you're gonna evaluate that too?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to evaluate before we
Yeah,
spend more money,
okay.
because we spend about, what,
Well, we may stop.
$100,000 for this work program, so.
Well, I have some questions more.
I'm trying to get more bang for the
Can I
buck
ask
on it.
Toby a question or two? Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, can I ask Toby? a
Yeah,
question?
yeah, go ahead.
I've had several people come to me, and I would like you to explain to me why we don't keep a couple of dumpsters down at the transfer station. On the weekends, people don't have anywhere to take their trash. That's the reason the one out here in Clintwood is filling up, because people don't have, but I'd rather them throw it as the dumpsters, throw it over the hill. So is there any reason?
I'll be happy to answer that.
Okay,
For a long time, we had the transfer station open on Saturdays. This was when Donnie Wright was,
well,
on
I'm
the
not
board.
talking about opening it, I'm talking about just put dumpsters.
Well, this all
up.
leads up to this.
Okay,
Nobody
We
uses
opened the
it.
transfer station up, trying to alleviate those citizens who said, we want to come down there on Saturday and deposit our trash.
Nobody can.
In 4 years, we had one customer.
you're kidding.
I'm not. The reason we don't have a dumpster down there on the outside of the gate is because it becomes a magnet for bears, it becomes a eyesore, and trash is everywhere.
Well, wouldn't you rather them throw it right there as throw it over the hill?
That's up to you all. You tell me what you want, and we'll have one set
Well, I
there.
know this one out here at Clintwood,
Yeah. Did we
I
ever-
mean, they're just loading it down.
Did we ever talk to Travis about getting an extra dumpster?
we tried to talk to the town, and of course, we're still working through the issue of the property down there, what's gonna
I
happen,
know.
and where their relocation
Right.
is going to go. But yes, we did talk to, long story short, we're getting new dumpsters through some payoff of an old IDA debt. And so as part of that, we were gonna try to get the town of Clintwood some extra dumpsters off of that.
I know we talked about that like 2 meetings.
Yeah, it's a pain, it's a real pain down there,
There's a lot
but
of
they're gonna have to
kids.
come up with a relocation spot,
Well, I
and
know.
they haven't come up with that yet.
But that's whatever.
Yep.
But
Yep,
Well, I know, I was
That's- I'm
talking
glad-
about somebody the other day was cleaning out a rental house here in Clintwood, and he hauled stuff out.
The one at
here.
McClure at the Kiwanis Club,
Uh-huh.
it stays full too. I mean, people go over there on the weekends and deposit their trash. I mean, that's another location for people that take their trash off on the weekends.
People drop their trash off there as they go to work in the mines.
Yeah, I
It's
think a
like
lot of
7
them are.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah. I've seen that from the dime.
all right, do you have anything else for Mr. Edwards?
One other item I have on the agenda. Over the last few months, we've been through this COVID situation that we're currently still in. During that time, we've had some employees who have encountered or been, not exposed, I don't want to say that, but have been closely interacting with drivers, some of our drivers that have had family members who have tested positive for COVID, and it got us on the subject. You know, we do not have a COVID policy. And I spoke a little bit about this with Bud a while back. You know, how we could address this from the Waste Authority standpoint. We currently have a manpower agreement with the county, and maybe looking at doing an addendum, not changing the manpower agreement, but doing an addendum. At our last board meeting, the Waste Authority, we worked with our attorney and myself, we did the research, and we put together an addendum along with a COVID policy for all 3 transfer station staff. And that's what's in your packet, and I'm here tonight making a request that you all adopt that addendum to our manpower agreement, that we do have something in place in the event that one of the employees tests positive or becomes sick. We are working with the public, and other than that, I mean, it's a program where it's gonna put a lot of work on me, and I'm gonna have to report to David, and that's fine, that's what you all pay me for,
This
but
thing here, yeah.
Why do we need a separate code? If there are employees, wouldn't they fall under ours?
Well,
Can't
Right.
read mine.
well, we discussed that, but
Mr. Chairman,
There's
may
an agreement between us, I think that's why I want.
I know, but I mean, there are.
we basically assign our employees, we assign them to work for the Waste Management Authority. And so instead of having 3 different sets of rules to govern the issue, I know that I talked to Craig about this, and we thought it was better just to have one go-to for those guys. Well, if it's at the transfer station and if it's an issue with this, it goes right there as opposed to having 3 different sets of issues.
Mr. Chairman, can I attempt to answer the question for you? In order to have a uniform and consistent policy to cover all employees that are loaned, we loan employees to the Waste Authority. And for all practical purpose, they're considered, in a sense, they're employees, since we loan them to them as employees, and they supervise those employees. Even though they may be, in a sense, hired by us, we loan them to them, they supervise them, and maintain their employment. They cover,
Well, I mean, my name's on their paycheck, but at the end of the day, if they have a day-to-day problem, it goes both ways. But if it's operational, it goes through Toby.
Cause I know those guys, don't they work on the trash trucks too, if they need extra men or whatever? I mean, I just don't wanna confuse everything.
they occasionally help on the trash truck, that's right.
Well, they're county
Well, I had looked through, I don't.
They're
Mr.
county
Phillips,
employees, right?
Have you
Yeah,
reviewed?
wait a second, Mr.
But
Chairman,
we assign them to us.
I can't follow the
I
conversation, the
understand, I
question.
can't either. Go ahead, Mr. Phillips, and I interrupted you, so you can finish your thought.
So it was my opinion that since they were supervising, that they could be the agent to take it for the county to implement the COVID virus policy. And we're going to be talking about that in just probably a matter of 30, 40 minutes, where Dickinson County is going to be the agent for the county offices to be the COVID administrator. So basically what we're telling them, we're giving them the right to be the administrator of the COVID policy. That's all that you're requesting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on that? You wanna,
I need
adopt that?
Yeah, I need a motion to.
I've
adopt
reviewed the
it.
documents, the memorandum of the amendment and the policy, and they're all both acceptable, and you can adopt both of them, Mr. Chairman.
Do I hear a motion to adopt the addendum to the existing manpower agreement? Hear a second?
I second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Mr. Edwards, is that all you need from us?
I need some signatures. Yes, that's all,
All right,
Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby.
Move on, go ahead.
I just want to make a comment about voting for table debt. Before it ever became a motion from Rhonda and Shelby, I had done looked at David and I said, do we need to table this? And then that's
Well, that's
why,
me too, I really wanted to.
Yeah. It's not that I'm not for you getting it, but it just gives us a little bit more time to,
That's fine.
And in fairness, to you, you sent this a long time ago, and I didn't get really sit and digest it, you did. and
I understand.
take responsibility for that. I should have gotten David, but I'm with Peggy, I just want a little more,
I respect that, and I appreciate that.
All right. But you did get it to us plenty in advance, and I do appreciate that. All right, move on to item number 9. Do we have the phone going?
not yet.
When we get the phone, line opened up, the number, if you choose to call in with your public comment, would be 276-333-0357.
You are currently the only person in this conference.
And at this time, the podium is open for public comment.
I'll come get it tomorrow.
I don't know what time I'll have it. I'll let you know
All
when I
right,
get
just
it.
let me know. But there's more dogs. Thank you.
No,
Can I borrow that clip?
It's warm.
you just got hot. I think it's here.
You need this folder?
Do you need it? That way I can keep it.
I'm
that.
good.
And there's your little clip.
I don't know what hers is.
Call me tomorrow.
I will.
I'm gonna look at this issue, Kenya, I'll call you. Okay. We'll look at all of it.
Thank you, Toby.
Thanks, Toby.
Thank you all, y'all have a wonderful evening.
You do too.
Yeah. Read the number again. Don't hear any calls. Give it about 5 minutes probably. We'll close the public comment.
We have one.
We have a call, okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute it.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead and talk.
So, sir or madam, I'm not sure, you are on, live with the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors. If you just please read your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes to, make your public comment. Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Can hear somebody a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, go ahead. Just please read your name, and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board.
This is Jarvis Steele, mayor of Clinchco,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
and I'm sorry I didn't make it to the meeting tonight. I actually let it slip my mind. I really wanted to come. Read your name, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. This is Jarvis Steele, mayor.
Yes,
Mr.
sir,
Deal,
go.
you need to cut down your radio or something, or whatever you have that you have there. I don't know what kind of device you have, but you need to turn it down. You're getting some reverberation and some feedback.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. You 3 minutes to start now, Mr. Deal. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say, like I say, I'm sorry I missed the meeting this evening, but also I wanted to thank Peggy and David and Ron, all of them, for including me in on that Corps call where we've been speaking back and forth with the Corps. And
Are you there?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, and also on your questions about them that work post people, to let Mr. Phillips know a little bit about that. See, I have some of the workforce people down in town that I use, and they do sign the waiver, and there's a lot of responsibility with that work program. You have to really keep close hours on them. They have to work an 8-hour day exactly, 5 days a week. You have to take their cell phones, and you have to send their timesheets in to Morgan or Melissa at around the end of the week, or sometimes she can wait 2 weeks on it, but it's important to get, because this all goes in front of the judge.
Has it worked out pretty good for you, Jarvis? I mean, or no?
Well, yeah, it has. Right now, they took them all away from me. Right now, they're using them over there at Pound River Horse Rank to fix it up. I guess maybe they're having a big horse show Labor Day or something over there.
Okay, but good. So it has worked good for the town, though.
Oh yes, it's been working good for the town, and I've had some really good workers. And then they'll come in, they'll random drug test them themselves, and they bring doctors' excuses if they can't show up. And actually, they're supposed to notify you in time before they don't show up, and then you need to let Morgan or Melissa one know.
So what I was telling you, there's some record keeping that would have to be done, the supervision would have to be done on all these employees. So one of your employees would have to do that. That's part of the program, I think.
Yes, and like I say, hopefully I'll be at your next meeting. I'm sorry I didn't get to this one, But, I appreciate everything all y'all doing, and Ron, I appreciate the way y'all and Peggy and Dave's all been trying to help with this fire department deal we have going down here, and hopefully we get this all straightened out and smoothed over here shortly.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you.
Okay, yeah, y'all have a good one, and I'll keep an eye on you tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Read the phone number one more time. 276-333-0357.
Did Carol leave, or was he just going out and coming back?
No, he left. I don't think he could handle the argument too good.
What argument was
I
that?
thought I'd been here and handled that.
Wait a minute.
You better never go to close session.
Too far, I don't argue with nobody, except Joe
Carol's a good
Glenn.
guy.
Yeah.
Poor old Joe Glenn.
Oh, Joe Glenn, yes.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, he does whatever he wants to.
I bet that's the truth.
Hurry, you got something to say, Lord?
Don't you learn not to poke the bear?
I can't believe you shut your mouth.
No comment.
She said there's no cubs, so we're saying.
I'm waiting to start on the trash pickup.
What?
276
This is a public comment time.
333-0357.
He's waiting for the right moment. Look at it. 3 minutes won't contain him.
So hearing motions to end the public comment, I don't
I make a motion, we close public comment.
hear a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As well. Public comment is now closed. Move on to item 10, other business.
We have those additions.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Phillips.
Mr. Chairman, I'm familiar with the Gates Chapel Church lease. I've read it a number of times, the Clinch Grove Free Will Baptist Church lease. These are leases allowing for them to use certain property owned by the county.
We're on
Yeah.
number 10.
We're on number 10, those
I
are
thought it was
11.
Other business.
No other business. I thought you was on.
Those are the additions that you gave us. Mhm.
10 will be your trammel demo agreements. You had given us a few
I'm
covered
sorry.
tonight.
All right.
10A. would
I
be
was
the
just a
demo.
little misplaced. I
I'm sorry.
apologize.
We got 10A and 10B and,
So 8A and 8B, Mr. Chairman, is that where we are?
10A and 10B.
10A and 10B.
Yes, sir.
10A and 10B is the demolition agreement Trammell Community Revivalist Program. They're moving ahead. They're ready to demolish Lot 2, Lot 11, 1, 101, House, 101 Double Wide, and lots 34 and 36. The contracts are acceptable, and I would recommend that you approve. Once you have approved these agreements, then People Incorporated will move forward to authorize the removal of the debris on those dilapidated homes and properties.
Signing and moving it, Ms. Kylie.
Yep. Everybody's ready.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Hearing motions,
I make that motion that we approve these so they can get
I'll
started.
second.
all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Move on to 10B. My phone rang off the hook today on this topic.
Mr. Chairman,
infectious COVID.
if I can just very quickly give you an update as what the Commonwealth of Virginia has mandated that we have a policy in place, infectious disease policy, to protect all of your employees. We had roughly 30 days to get part of it together and to draft that policy, and that's what we have drafted. And in that regard, we have put together a policy. It is not finalized. We have to have a plan in place, basically, to guide all the county, and I'll speak a minute about the constitutional officers. But we have to have that in place today so that we can move forward. What I'd recommend that you adopt the policy on the condition that you authorize me to amend, to correct, and to put in form the appropriate policy, that you approve it contingent on my approval. In other words, that the board has given me the authority to move forward with the finalization of it. That policy is not complete, in a sense. We're meeting again to discuss it on Friday to see how we move forward with one or two issues that's in there that may be of some concern to some of your employees. And so there's very little latitude in terms of how these policies are put together. The temporary standards dictate everything that's in that policy and give you the latitude to do certain things in terms of protecting your employees from the COVID-19. And so that's where we are. But the policy is very complex. There are a lot of things in there that are mandated by the mandatory standards that came out from the state of Virginia. And I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Chairman. There's one issue there that we discussed quite a lot today, and we'll resume the discussion of that on Friday.
Mr. Phillips, may I ask you,
You may.
who are you meeting with? Are you meeting with the health department or?
No, the health department's not involved in this.
Okay.
Basically, it's all agency heads of the county. It's all constitutional officers.
Okay,
That's who's at the meetings.
All right,
All
thank you.
agency heads and constitutional officers.
all right, thank you.
I just not had, I don't feel real comfortable voting on it. This is very, like you said, complex and in-depth, and I've not had time. I've tried my best to skim it, and of course, got my phone.
Just,
Well, if I
Is this
could,
the state requires this, Mr. Phillips?
Yes, they do. It's
Did
mandated
this
state law.
come from the governor's office, or?
It came from the governor's mandate through the various VOSHA and labor departments in the Commonwealth of
Do we
Virginia.
have even I mean,
You
what's
have no
the-
option
We
but
have
to
no
adopt.
option.
You have no option but to adopt
so
one.
you're wanting us to adopt it tonight with the contingency that you approve it or add,
Yes, now take it away.
or
it
take away?
What was the question you had, Mr. Chairman? I'm
Number
trying to get into this mode. Mr. Chairman,
Number
what
five.
was the question you
Page
had
5
so
of
much?
15 has been, it would concern me, frankly, it does concern me.
Which one?
kind of
Five
give
of
it,
15?
to kind of try to get everybody on the same page, the way this happened, yes, the governor issued us another mandated directive the end of July. We
That's
had,
by being all employers.
that all employers have to come up with this COVID response, and it's got an acronym, I believe it's IDPR. And of course, the county will qualify on every level because we have to assess every employee for their type of risk. We have to put policies in place to, what happens if a person has a fever, what happens if a person is sick, what happens if a person has a family member that's sick, are you exposed, are you not exposed? I will tell you that but Mr. Phillips and Freddie Mullins, who of course is the attorney now for the IDA, the PSA, and for DSS, we have worked countless hours pulling this together from a lot of sources. We met this morning with our constitutional officers. We met with reps from the PSA, from the DSS, all the county department head folks that I could pull in. A lot of them, I had told them, I'm sort of their proxy here. Out of everything that we laid out, page 5, middle of the page, item 3 is the one that gave 95% of the heartburn today. Miss Kaiser was there. Most everything else in here prescriptive. It's just coming from documents that are out there from VACORP, from several of these others. There's actually attorneys that work on this stuff now that have given us guidance.
You gotta get it
And of everything that we went through today,
dated, COVID.
the one that says page 5 of 15 at the bottom, and right in the middle of the page, the bullseye.
Right there.
And to be honest, I'm willing to, from my perspective, I'm willing to implement this policy without that in there at this point in time. Mainly because I know that our staff has done a very good job. We just talk to them like adults and say, listen, we have to do everything we can to keep our workplace safe, to keep everything, to keep our offices safe. And everybody in this building has really responded well. I mean, and I look at the treasurer because she's an integral part of this building. Every office in here has done a fabulous job. The ones at the courthouse, working with the sheriff, working with the folks in the judicial center, working with the truck shop guys. I mean, we've done everything we can, and I think that we've done a nice job. Now, what this item, the one that led to so many phone calls, what it basically is there to do is if we start having illnesses, we start having problems, people traveling, overnight stays, doing things, I'd like to see us have the ability to be able to limit those things if we start having problems. But we haven't had any. Our employees have done a good job. Now, that's not to say that we haven't had some folks travel. We have had people travel. We've had some good fortune. But as a general rule, our employees have done a good job. I've spoken to the PSA folks. I haven't had a chance to speak to DSS, but I kind of gave the feel from the DSS folks that they weren't overly happy with this provision either. So, as Mr. Phillips alluded to, we are going to get back together, same group, on Friday to finalize this because we wanted them just like you. I hate that it has gone down the way that it has. But this document really wasn't even final shape crafted until late yesterday. So there's a lot to this. I encourage you to read over it. We are on a short window to have this in place, and then we have another 30 days to get some additional training done with our staff. They are all writing up narratives on continuation plans because we have to have all that stuff done. And,
And the paragraph of concern is have utilized 3 consecutive.
yes, have you utilized 3 consecutive paid leave days or an alternative, went on a trip where you were away from home 2 consecutive nights?
This meeting was not open to the public and it wasn't recorded or live streamed or anything. And I've not gotten no message.
Well, it's a workshop to develop this
Yeah.
document.
So I guess what my question is
And-
probably for Mr. Phillips,
And
what
everybody
is
started getting
mandated?
messages.
It's required by state law.
So what's mandated to be in the policy though?
Everything that you see except that, from my perspective, only that probably, it is permitted, that question is, but it's not mandated.
I'm
You mean number 3 there, he's
Yeah.
talking
Now,
about?
may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
No, darn,
No, go ahead.
I didn't have a question.
Go
I
ahead,
don't
Mr.
think I had a comment to make was, my understanding that they have to test negative, where are they going to go to get this test?
There are rapid test centers. They would, for our case, unfortunately, Grundy, Whitesburg are the 2
People
closest.
have you talked to the health department to see if they
New
can
Brunswick.
They
provide
only
this?
test 3 days a week, I think.
Do they do the
County
rapid
would be
test?
paying for
No.
those tests.
Oh,
The county.
Yeah.
well, have you consulted with Dr. Cantrell if that we could get the rapid test?
Well, in talking to her, again, we're in an area that if we wanted to do this, I don't know that we could get a facility to be able to do the rapid test because it really makes no sense to have to see. I hate having to send people to
Yeah.
Grundy or to Whitesburg to have a rapid test because basically you're going to burn a work day by doing this process.
We'll pay for that.
It's one reason why we discussed this. I've been on the fence about this provision from the beginning. I do believe that if we start having a lot of cases or having issues with a lot of travel leading to cases, then I think this is not a bad policy to have. But where we are today, I'm okay starting without it because a lot of what we're being asked to do, we're putting into documentation things we've been doing for the last 4 months, 5 months.
Let me ask you, I see that. What if you've tested positive? Is there anything in here about you have to have a negative test? to
From
get
that, yes, there's a lot of protocol for a positive test.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm confused because
It's for
I went to the
every
doctor a week ago,
business.
VA doctor, and he said the CDC's not recommending retesting people that tested positive because a lot of them show up positive still.
In most cases, people that test positive run out what they call the isolation window, which is when you're considered to be contagious. Once that window runs out, then you're but taken off of the isolation list by the health department. And at that point, you're eligible under most circumstances to come back to work.
Okay, I wanted to
you
make
had a
sure. that-
Yes.
Mr.
Time-
Chairman, I
time
have a
can be more
question
negative
if,
than
I may. Whenever, let David finish.
I'm good.
I feel like I sit down here on the end and I'm ignored. And I know I need to address Mr. Chairman before I speak. Who does this cover? Does it cover our payroll?
Every
Basically,
employee.
our payroll, not DSS.
Well, they are going to adopt the same policy.
I know they already have this in here, that if you're out of town, you gotta go be tested before you can come back.
They are going to adopt the same policy. They were part of our meeting today.
But this will affect just on here, correct?
It's a person on our payroll, this will be a policy for them. Yes.
That's what I wanted to know, is who this covers.
Our people.
Let me clarify that a little bit, Mr. Chairman and Mr. County Administrator. Yes, technically that's correct, but the constitutional officers have agreed, all of them have agreed to abide by and be a part of the county's plan. They want the county to be the administrator of the plan. In other words, all the commissioner, the treasurer, the sheriff's department, Commonwealth attorney,
Clerk.
and the clerk have all agreed that this plan will be a unified plan, because when we started out, the constitutional officers have a right to develop their own plan, but it could be totally different in a sense. It could be either more restrictive or less restrictive than what we had. And it was felt like that a unified plan would be more acceptable, have all employees covered by one plan and have one administrator. Now, this is going to be a lot of work to keep up with this. And because there's certain responsibilities that the administrator has. And it would be sort of the compliance officer to see. Now, you have to understand, and one of the things is, there's penalties involved in this, potentially criminal or civil, if this policy is not adopted or not enforced, or is flagrant violation of the policy or the regulations or law. And so we have spent a lot of time, the county administrator is correct, we've been hours and hours and hours researching and looking and evaluating and drafting this policy. And it can be changed, it can be amended once you've had it in place, and it's good for a total of up to 6 months until new regulations come into place. And so it is there. I know you're, at this point in time, you haven't seen it, but basically I can counsel you and I can advise you that we follow the regulations. We've adopted the regulations and put them in place in front of the policy. And so every employer, both private and public, are required by law to adopt this policy.
So are you going to implement, are you the one that's gonna oversee it? Or who's gonna oversee this for the employees? Is it the county administrator?
Well, short term, for the county folks, I will probably be the person, but I do believe, and this is something that we have to vet out, I think this is a big enough requirement, a big enough job trying to handle multiple agencies and overview. I think we probably will need to look for someone that could be hired. It's something that we could use our CARES Act money toward, at least for the short term, maybe to get us through the first 6-month hurdle of trying to deal with this, because this is all, yes, we've done this in theory, but this is new as far as having all these policies in place, and the paperwork and the required documentation is going to be a lot to keep up with. And just to be honest, our office, I don't think can do it. But short term, yes, from the day that we first start these processes, we will, but I think we're going to have to hire sort of we've called it a czar, but then we kind of rephrased it and called it something else.
Yeah, compliance
A
officer.
compliance officer. I think we're going to have to, but it is something that we can use our CARES Act money toward, just to get us through the initial phase and then see where this thing goes in the next 3 to 6 months.
We've only got, 10 active cases right now, so I don't,
We got 4. Well,
active cases.
Well,
Oh.
we didn't ask to do this.
Well, I know, so I mean, I just don't know if we need to talk
The
about
only
it.
thing is.
Oh.
We don't have a
mine
choice,
stuff
we don't
needs
have a
signed.
choice. This goes from the governor, we've got to.
I think we need to make a motion that we go ahead and adopt this with the contingency that Mr. Phillips can add or take away according to the guidelines of the state.
A motion,
I will second that.
have a second, any further
Is that okay?
discussion?
Can I make a comment?
Yep,
With being here today with this meeting, if you all look back next to the back of this little packet that they gave us, there is a page back there that you got, that all of these departments has to evaluate their employees if they are in very high, medium, or low risk, and what their job title is. All this has to be done by Friday, right?
That's
Is
fine.
that-
They
is that
should
not
be
right?
able to do
and
that.
that's a
And-
mandated provision from,
Yes.
Yes, so they gotta go, Wednesday or Thursday, they gotta go through and
me ask you-
categorize every
Well,
one
I'm
of their
sure that's not
employees.
gonna be
And
any
I
problem.
also think, if Bud will correct me, this program, and we watched the video thing today, highly stresses not to discriminate. I think that probably brought in the thing of the 3-day and 2-night to where it would hit everybody, to where one won't test this way and one won't test and ask questions this way. That it's a uniform line for everybody. Did I understand that correctly today?
That's correct.
Yeah, that was the main purpose, is because you cannot discriminate to ask one, where you been, and have you been with anybody, and
I guess, I
you
mean-
need to go get tested and not do everybody.
my problem is, I mean, I would have to have a rapid test about every 6 days. So I think it's too much burden on people that, what if you go to the lake for the weekend? Or what if your child plays baseball and you go travel every weekend? It's ridiculous to me, number 3 is, so.
Mr. Chairman,
Have a motion and second.
Mr. Bud, didn't you say that part could be?
Well, what you're adopting is in here.
I know, but.
No, we said.
No,
Question
it's
I got.
with the-
Well, you can make a motion to have this deleted, but your motion didn't say that.
Well,
Your motion was to adopt this as written.
Let me assure Mr.
No,
Chairman
I
that,
didn't.
let me assure the chairman and the board.
To
that
take in or
this-
out.
That issue is going to be in front of us. We're going to listen to the folks who have been here today and listen to them Friday to see what their response is. I can recommend, and I will recommend, based on the county administrator's position, that come out of there at this time, that paragraph come out.
So we'll need an amended motion then.
No, I think you can leave it up to me.
Okay.
If you trust me,
All right.
I'll
I
make
said
sure.
he could take it in or out.
Yes.
You
But I
know, my
guess-
motion was he could
All right.
add or
Yeah,
take away.
yes.
One comment I got, or question, all the agencies are signed on to this. Are they signing anything saying they're signed on to it?
No,
Well-
each agency will have to adopt their
They-
own, won't they?
This is
By
the agency.
agencies, they all have their own boards, and the plan is for their attorney to take it back to those boards and adopt it.
Okay.
So you say public too, businesses have to do
I need
this?
clarify it.
We're
My
not
goodness,
adopting
how
it
they
for
gonna
other
keep
people,
up
we're
whether
only
they do
adopting
this or
it for
not?
ourselves.
No, I
It's
got it.
very complex.
Who's gonna
time
enforce
consuming.
this? I'm
And
talking
admin-
about countywide.
No, we're not going to
We're
administer
not
for the
gonna worry
businesses.
about that, I
No.
understand that.
If I might, Mr. Chairman, with the motion, is that the agencies, as I understand it, also wish for, you're going to have to appoint as interim administrator, your county administrator under the plan. That's going to have to be part of the motion as well. The second thing is to allow the IDA, the clerk, circuit court clerk, the commissioner, the treasurer, the sheriff, and also the Commonwealth's attorney to be administered by the county attorney. So he's going to be administering the plan on their behalf.
I mean,
This
county
point.
administrator.
Yes, the county administrator, he's going to be the administrator of this plan.
So would you restate your motion, please, just to clarify the minutes?
I made a motion that we adopt this with the contingency that our attorney has the right to add or take away.
With
Final approval.
with final approval.
So will you
And
then
I
need a
second
subsequent
it.
motion appointing the interim administrator of the plan, or do we want to couple that together?
Just simplify it, and let's go with that
Do,
motion.
all right, do I hear a second to Ms. Wilson's
Already
motion?
seconded.
She seconded.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Be a no for me. So 4-1, the motion passes. And do we have any other?
The second motion, Mr. Chairman, that to appoint the county administrator as the administrator of the infectious disease preparedness and response policy and plan.
Do I hear a motion?
He would be the interim administrator. Let me rephrase
Please
it.
make that interim.
But he'd be
I
the interim.
make a motion that we make him the interim
You're it. There you go.
person to administer this.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of making the county administrator the interim COVID policy and
Police.
preparedness and
I would
response
want-
policy plan administrator, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye also.
Okay, there would be a third motion, Mr. Chairman, to break that, the simplest way to do it would be allow the county administrator to also become the administrator for the IDA, for all constitutional officers, including the sheriff, the treasurer, the commissioner.
I want to raise.
The commissioner, and whoever left out.
Clerk.
I
Clerk,
wouldn't want that, David.
And the common attorney.
and the Department of Social Services. So all of those,
He's not gonna do social services,
yes,
right?
he is. As I understand it, is that right, Mr. County Administrator?
Because their board would have to approve this.
We didn't,
Right.
we actually had not talked about the agency part.
Oh, that-
whether-
I may have
whether they-
misstated that.
I actually think maybe possibly the PSA and DSS would want to have their own appointee.
Because we,
Okay.
I'm
PSA
just
has a
wondering why
board.
we've not had a little more preparation on this. This, to me, this is a big deal, and we're
We
doing
had
a lot
30
of stuff.
days.
Well, we probably should have called a special meeting or something instead of just, I mean, I don't like voting on this.
well, I'm
kinda
sure it took
stuff.
him a while to prepare it.
Well, it was finalized written yesterday. I
Well,
mean,
that's,
this,
you know, well, why didn't we have it earlier then?
Well, we ain't got much time to, we have to adopt it by, what'd you say, Peggy?
But you don't even know what you're voting on. You read it?
No.
Well, what does that say?
Well, we
Well, I
will
trust
read
him
it.
by it, he's read it, and I think, the people who met here today can
So we're not
make a
going to include the
reasonable-
IDA or the PSA, I mean, is IDA going to be included or not, Mr. County
yeah,
Administrator?
they actually already voted on that, but their employee is actually in the county
I agree.
structure. I believe their
It is the
intent was
first
to
time I've
have
seen it
me
today.
be the,
But not the,
Interim. I don't have any interaction with DSS, PSA. They have their own boards. I actually think
Yes.
they should probably remain outside that.
I understand, okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I understand your frustration, and believe me,
We're
your attorney has
frustrated too.
been frustrated as well. And the being is that we only had 30 days to do it, had to start from scratch, we had to research it, we had to get information, pull it together. And I'm not making excuses, I'm just telling you, it's been extremely difficult with the workload that we've had to get it done within the 30 days. I can tell you a lot of counties are behind. A lot of counties and other agencies are behind. A lot of local business people don't know what they're doing. They have no idea that they're going to be required to do this. It is a mandate from Richmond that we are trying to meet. And I can tell you, I'm frustrated because they only gave us a 30-day lead time to do it. But that's the way it is, and we're forced to deal the hand you have, and you have in front of what you have, and I can understand your frustration.
I would say, and Mr. Phillips may contradict me and tell me I'm flat wrong, but I do believe that having it in place is the cornerstone for what we need to do. But as you read through it, and as the group reads through it, if there are things that need to be amended to it, it's going to be a living document. It's not going to be a one-time lockdown. This is the last time we're going to look at it and revisit it, because as situations change, as things change, I think we're going to have a living document here that actually can be gone back in and modified. So I do encourage you, you do need, I mean, I'm sure it was a big learning curve for you
Oh, Lord, I thought,
when you were there today, as it was for most everybody that was there, because I would dare say the only people that have read the most of this stuff that we're dealing with is Mr. Phillips, myself, and Mr. Mull.
He's correct, Mr. Chairman. It's a fluid document that can be amended at any time and changed at any time.
May
And I know
ask
you're
you, does
unhappy,
this
but I'm right
cover-
there with you.
I'm
So-
sorry.
Does this cover the Board of Supervisors?
You're an employee.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So I'm gonna make the motion that we include the IDA, Sheriff's Department, Treasurer's Office, Clerk's Office, Commonwealth Attorney, Commissioner of Revenue, and Board of Supervisors.
I'll second.
And the registrar.
And I've got
And the
registrar.
registrar's
Got
office.
the registrar.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 No for me.
Mr. Chairman, if at some time
I'll
that you
read
all
it
would
and
like
make
to have a
comments
work
back.
session
Aye.
for us to go through, and it takes
If I
probably
understand it.
it's probably gonna take you 3 to 4 hours to go through the presentation.
Yep.
I'd be glad to do that for you and all of you to do that if you wish.
I think the registrar's office is just bombarded with work with this. And so many people, I think she said today that, the people wanting to vote early is about doubled. And she said, we're having a time and, gotta start checking temperatures and they're just overwhelmed.
You check everybody's temperature that comes in the building?
They haven't been doing that.
They're kidding. So anybody
I don't know.
walks in the
Yes, they
store
have
out here and
courthouse.
has their temperature taken?
Employees.
Yeah.
Just
Employees.
employees, not the people.
That's correct.
All right.
Your employees are these people that's on your list here.
It's scary.
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't want
So I
them-
knew we were on the list,
I don't
that's
do
why I
anything.
asked the Board of Supervisors.
If I can help you sometime, holler.
No, I know. I guess we're ready to go to item 11.
Let me ask
was
you
there
this,
anything
are we
else on
gonna
10?
vote on this
10C.
again
Let's go.
once it's finalized?
Yes, I was trying to figure out where that was.
Ah,
That's a
thank
big
Yeah.
deal.
I was
Mr.
hoping it
Chairman,
would just go
this-
away.
You have
Mr.
an
Chairman,
entire
if I
folder
might.
of documents that
Oh,
Ms.
yeah,
Phillips gave you for
What,
this.
what I'd recommend is give me the authority you have to try to finalize this document. And that what I'd like to do, and Ms. Willis, and that's what I intend to do, but she is very wise in these things, and she recognized that what I'd like to do is come back maybe next month and give you an update of where we are with this. But there's an additional part of this plan that we have to have ready in September that you'll be looking at. And at that time, you had time to read it, to digest it, and if you wish, there's no public hearing is required, and if there's changes that you want to make that you think are beneficial to you and the county and all the folks that are here, then we can entertain those and make those changes if you wish, and re-adopt it. And that's why she is suggesting that we possibly do that at a later date to give you some comfort as well. So
Well,
that's what I
part of my
recommend.
frustration with it was, got calls and questions from folks who, legitimate questions, and I don't have a clue what they're talking about. And
You
that's
also have
embarrassing
the
to not know.
electoral board that we didn't mention.
What you're talking about.
They're
When
here
you're voting on
also.
something, and I can't in good faith vote on something, I don't know what it is and not read it, so other people may feel comfortable doing that, but I don't.
I'm not normally, but he said we could come back and amend it, because we do.
Well, I was just explaining my vote, so.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
All right, so we're going to 10C. I believe there's a folder full of a lot more stuff regarding the school board litigation. Mr.
There's
Phillips,
some folders that we need to pass out to you. You already got them?
we've got them, yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, it's been some time coming, but the public hopefully is listening tonight. There's a major event about to happen tonight and tomorrow night at the school board meeting. The parties have, the Dickinson County Board of Supervisors and the Dickinson County School Board have reached an accord and an agreement. And it deals with the litigation that's been ongoing for quite some time and the stall out of the elementary school. I'm pleased to tell this board tonight and the public that there is an agreement to end the lawsuit. There's an agreement to build the new school. And what you have in front of you is all the documents necessary for you to approve tonight. There's a resolution in front of you that you approving the documents. It's an assignment of retainage, joint resolution, credit line promissory note, and interim financing agreement and line of credit. You all have seen these documents off and on over the last several months since I've been here. And one of the things that you wanted me to do was concentrate on and get to get us in a position that the money would be available to the Corps to build the school. You recall last month you appropriated like $25.2 million to the school board, both for the construction as well as the demolition of Sand Lake, and that was core money. The only thing that we needed, and negotiations have been pretty tough, have been going back and forth, but you have all those documents. I'm pleased to tell you that the position of the board has been prevailed in terms of protecting the taxpayers and protecting this board. In other words, if there is potential expansion of the school in terms of its financing, they have to come back to you to get any approvals for change orders or change in scope of the cost of that building. That was always an issue with this board, that you wanted control over that. You felt like that you needed some control to make sure the taxpayers were protected and this boards were protected in terms, make sure that you had input on that issue. So it is my recommendation that you approve the resolution and adopt the resolution and approve each document separately, if that's your pleasure.
Thank you for all your work on this issue, Mr. Phillips. I do appreciate it very much. Is there any discussion? Any comments? Any motions? If there's no discussion.
Has these resolutions come from you and Mr. Sexton and Josh, the chairman, and that?
Though the documents, we've been back and forth between, and it was our documents that we were working from, that we had, and there were some changes, minor changes here and there that we made, but the substance of everything is there, is what we have drafted and submitted. That when I say we, this board.
So you want all of them adopted separate?
And
May I ask you a question?
And let one final note, it's my understanding that the attorneys for the school board will make a recommendation tomorrow night to their board that these documents be approved as we are drafting and approving tonight.
Mr. Chairman, may
Yes,
I
ma'am.
ask Ms. Phillips one question? I asked you earlier and you said there was one phrase or something that,
That issue was resolved
that
in our
resolved
favor.
after I talked to you.
It was resolved in our favor, yes.
In our favor.
Yes.
And we want everybody to know that the unconstitutional thing was removed.
Those issues that were brought up, I have to admit, I did not draft those. It was not a part of what I would have put in there, but they got in there from council and for several reasons, but it was my recommendation for it went back for additional negotiations. Those came out. They didn't, but we contacted Mr. Chairman, I contacted the county administrator, and it was my recommendation that they come out and they agreed, and they did. So their objection was removed to those sections, two paragraphs for the school board.
Kind of rethinking, reconsideration.
Oh, they've
for
already voted,
Sand Lake.
haven't they?
No, if you recall, there were some discussions about whether or not they had ever approved a plan. I have the documents to show that they did approve a plan. The school board did. That the school board approved the plan at Ridgeview.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing core drilling, they've been doing surveying, and they've been doing engineering work to site that school there on that site. Now, yes, ma'am.
That was made out, I think you're talking about in their last meeting, that was made the point that one of their members said
know.
that it's not been voted on.
Yes, it was.
It has
know.
been.
It was voted on.
Yes, ma'am, it has. It has been. Ms. Willis is correct. It was voted on and was approved.
Yes, it was.
I'm just saying what one of their members
That
I
don't matter.
understand.
People tell you anything.
Do I hear any motions? I think the cleanest way, Mr. Phillips, would probably be to do the joint resolution, interim financing line of credit, the promissory note, and then the
He
interim
wants them all
agreement.
done separate, he said.
Huh?
He said to do them all
You do- I
separate.
would-
Yeah, that's what I was getting. I just read the order.
Yeah.
I'll do
joint
the resolution first. I'll
Yes.
adopt that resolution.
Yes.
I make a motion that we adopt this resolution.
Now, let's see, okay, we're,
There's a resolution that we're going to adopt first.
Financing, this is for the interim financing.
Now, I'll make sure,
that's what I want to make sure, right?
may I come around and see?
Yes.
It's the resolution that says, resolution of the Board of Supervisors of Dickinson County, Virginia, approving the interim financing agreement and joint resolution with Dickinson County, Virginia. And
Okay.
I would request that you adopt that one, that's resolution first, and take a roll call vote.
Yes, sir.
On that, Mr. Chairman.
So, Ms. Phillips, do you want to make sure Ms. Willis, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I made this motion, correct, on this is the one I had, that he read from. Resolution for the Board of Supervisors, Dickinson County, Virginia, approving internal financing agreement and joint resolutions with Dickinson County School Board.
Thank you. Here, a second.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Willis, how do you, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as stated by Ms. Willis. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss? Aye. Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye as well.
Second thing to do, Mr. Chairman, is you've got an assignment of retainage that I would ask a motion to approve the signage of retainage document.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
make a motion to approve that.
I
Have a-
second it.
Motion and second. Ms. Willis, how do you vote? On the
Me.
assignment of retainage?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss? Aye. Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye as well.
Then you have a credit line promissory note, and we need a motion to approve that, Mr. Chairman.
Here a motion to approve the credit line promissory note.
I'll make a motion.
And I'll
Yes.
second it.
Hearing a motion and second to approve the credit line promissory note. Ms. Willis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Sluss? Aye. Ms. Kaiser?
Aye.
Mr. Peters?
Aye.
Aye also. Motion passes unanimously.
By your resolution previously adopted, you did approve the joint resolution and interim financing. That's already been, those
So the
two.
joint resolution was involved? part
Yes,
of
it
that.
was,
Yes,
and
sir.
interim financing was, yes,
So that's all?
yes.
Okay.
And, Mr. Chairman, if those documents could be signed tonight by the chairman, the original documents then will forward to the school board for their consideration tomorrow.
The ball is in their court.
And as
So
I
to
said,
speak.
I hope I have on good authority that these agreements these agreements have been approved by their legal counsel, school board's attorney, and they have assured me that they will present the documents as we adopted tonight to the school board for their consideration and adoption on Wednesday, tomorrow.
How
Been
many
the
of
longest
these-
8 months of my life.
Was they 4 things to vote on separately? Because we've only voted on 3.
No, the main resolution took care of 2 of them.
Okay, okay. Sorry about that.
So you did get 4.
Okay.
4 documents.
Number 2 and number 4.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might have a moment,
Yes,
First
yield the floor to
privilege.
you, Mr. Phillips.
I know that the citizens, I guess, have been frustrated, and I know our board has been frustrated due to the lack of progress. It has been stalled out for about 3.5 years, but this board came in with the intent to get the building built and use federal funds to get it built. And that's what mission you gave me over the last several months. I know it's been tedious, it's been back and forth, and sometimes frustrating, and sometimes you just want to just take time out and say, where in the world are we and where are we going? And there were times like that this happened, but eventually everybody kept working, and with your support, this board's support, and your support of me, and moving this forward, this board showed leadership in getting this issue resolved. I want to commend this board for showing that leadership and commitment to the taxpayers, commitment to the schools, and commitment to the children of this county to move this project ahead. And you are to be recognized, in my opinion, and given credit for moving this project the way it did. It was a job that at times that, as I said, was frustrating. At times you wondered where this thing was going, but everybody kept busy and working and moving forward. And I thank you for your patience, and I know the citizens of Dickinson County and the children, the taxpayers, know that you did it all in good faith, looking out after your constituents, the taxpayers and the kids and the children and teachers and personnel of Dickinson County. The county administrator is very important in this process. He was a very integral part of helping me to quickly learn the issues and help push this issue and getting it resolved. So I hope, and I'll say this, I pray that the school board approves these agreements tomorrow night, And I believe that they will approve all of these agreements tomorrow night. Once they're approved, then we have one more step that we'll have to take to make sure everything gets ratified. But I think that once the school board hopefully adopts and signs off the agreements, then the rest of the matters will drop in place as they should. And thank you all for your confidence, each of you. I do mean that. And Shane, thank you for believing in the process to get this done. You know, one of the things about, and the citizens sometimes get really frustrated. In a democracy, it takes people making decisions. Not one person makes a decision on what occurs in a democracy, in particular this board. Sometimes it's not the prettiest thing to watch in democracy in action. And sometimes it's frustrating to the citizens, but this process has worked, and finally, I hope we're at the end. So thank you all for allowing me to help you with this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Fields, for what you've done also.
All right, we'll move on to 11A, a lease agreement. I think this is up in your neck of the woods, Shelby. At
I will make
Yates
a motion
Chapel-
that we
Chapel.
go ahead and lease this again to Yates Chapel Church.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Similar piece for Peggy, I believe this is in your district, a lease for the Clinchco Baptist Church. I'll be honest, I'm not sure where this is.
Clinchco Baptist
It's
Church
the
is right there
parking
on the
lot.
right, going towards the town hall.
Yeah, okay.
I will
all right.
make that motion. That we renew this lease.
There's a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well.
I'll make a motion, we approve the next one.
So here a second.
What does that leave?
Second.
I think that's the recycling center, isn't it?
It's where they put the recycling thing down there.
For the hopeful day we can bring it back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's there across the road from the store.
No, yeah, I just seconded it.
Yes, have a motion and second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Now move on to item number 12. Do I hear a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act?
I make that motion. Do I need to make that motion
With
uh,
the,
to read the pursuant of Virginia Code
Yes.
Section
Yes.
2.2-3711A7, Section 2.2-3711A7, to discuss personnel and treasurer's office.
Here a second.
I second it.
All those in favor of going into closed session pursuant to the code section reference, please signify by saying aye.
aye.
Aye as well. Clarification, matters discussed in closed session.
I make a motion that we only discuss those issues that we went in for the personnel treasurer's office.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
All those, well, I'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Willis, do you do so certify?
I certify.
Ms. Sluss?
Yes,
Ms. Kaiser?
Yes, I certify.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And yes for me as well. So we move on to item 14. Any motions or votes coming out of closed session?
I have a motion, Mr. Chairman, to allow Mr. Administrator David Moore to transfer up to 240 hours from employees to Robin Johnson that is off due to death in her family.
Do you hear a second?
I second it.
All those in favor of Ms. Willis's motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. We need to schedule a public hearing for, I guess this will be our regular September meeting day. It'll be before our normal meeting. Do I hear any motions or discussion in regard to scheduling that public hearing?
How much time you think it'll take, David?
I think it's
15 minutes.
recommended for
Yeah,
5:50.
they got it set for 10 minutes. I think that'd be more than enough. I don't think there's an issue with it.
Want to do it at 5:45 just to make sure?
Whatever you think.
Let's-
The floor's
We'll do
open.
5:45.
I'll make a motion, we do it at 5:45 because I've had some questions about this.
Oh, really? Okay. I have a motion on the floor to schedule a public hearing for the floodplain management ordinance to be 5:45 on September 22nd, 2020. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of scheduling the public hearing as referenced, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye also.
That's 5:45.
Yes, 5:45.
That's our regular meeting.
Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah,
I was
that's
asked at PSA meeting about it, Mr. Chairman.
Move on to item 16, supervisor comments. Ms. Kaiser, start with you, I guess, if that's okay. You have any comments?
No, just seems like we're plugging right along and falling in place.
Ron?
No, I'm good.
Ms. Willis?
I'm just happy that we passed these resolutions and so forth tonight to get the school started, and let's just pray the school board will follow suit tomorrow night.
Ms. Sluss?
I agree with Shelby. I'm very thankful for all the work that Bud did. He puts himself down as the last person, but we're very thankful for what you
Yes.
have done. But I don't think we would have been this far if it hadn't been for you.
I don't think so either.
And David as well, and all of us. But I particularly wanted to express my thanks to you, Mr. Phillips.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that your board may or may not know, and the public, I know, probably is not aware of that, and I didn't want the public to know unless it was required. I have been working pro bono for this board from February. In other words, the public needs to know I have not been receiving a salary or any kind of compensation to represent you in all the matters. And the reason I've done that is to provide you with legal counsel to make sure that you had appropriate legal counsel to help you with the project that you want me to help you with. The money, the time that I spent, and I spent many hours, I probably would, if you total it all up, all the hours I spent on this school system, it would be into thousands of dollars, probably a neighborhood of somewhere between $30,000 and $35,000 in time that I spent representing you and the community in Dickinson County. I did that because this county has been very good to me in my lifetime. I have a lot of friends, neighbors. I consider from one end of this county to the other one. And I had no agenda come. My agenda was to help you and to finalize this document. But I want to let you know that I've donated that my time and services to you, this board, and to the citizens. And I feel hopefully we're getting to the end, and I think it's hopefully going to work out. And I thank you for do that.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Got a lot done tonight.
Yeah.
Been a long 8 months for sure.
Well, it's been several
Long
years for
3
me
years, yeah, I know.
that we've dealt with this.
county, country, Commonwealth's going through a lot of changes. I hope we can get some internet expansion in the county. That is, after this, hopefully tonight, I think just our laser focus needs to be on broadband expansion. I think we are well on our way with that. If we can get that grant approved, we're well on our way to making a big difference for the families of Dick. Moment, I'll entertain. Yeah, go ahead.
I forgot to mention this, that I have been in contact with Comcast. Comcast has a program called Internet Essentials that people who have housing assistance, Medicaid, SNAP, or on SSI, there's a big probability that you can get your internet for free. And if not for free, the most you would pay is $9.95, but you have to live where Comcast is already serviced. They won't actually run it to your house or whatever, you know, if you're not in their already serviced area. That I'll leave some of these here at the board office, and then I'll probably place a few out places or what. But that's one way that people can get some help is through Comcast.
I called Comcast several years ago, and they told me they were not interested in expanding anywhere except in larger cities, that they were not going to expand anything in rural areas.
Well, see, this is not for
I know
expansion.
that's not, I know,
But-
but that's what they told me when I called them.
But see, I have a neighbor that may possibly be low income and can't afford internet, but has a child in high school, that this program hopefully will help her, because internet, Comcast services my area.
Oh, I didn't know they did.
Oh, yeah, I have real
I
good
know they
internet.
did.
I think it's
On
very good of you,
72.
Katie, to find that out.
Yep, very good.
Yeah, it's good,
All right, do we hear a motion to adjourn?
because there's several
I'll
on
make a motion.
72 that
Can you
has
put some of
that.
these in that shelf down
Have a
there?
motion to adjourn, here a
They have
second.
Comcast on
I'll
72.
second it.
All those in favor
Not
of
all the
adjourning, please
way, I don't
signify by
think, but
saying
I know they
aye.
have it part of the way out.
Aye. Meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
On Longsport, they have Comcast out through there.